Jack needs to see this. When you're good at what you do, you just get things done. Well, hello everybody.
Hello.
Quite excited. I haven't been here in a while. I've been in this room in a while, but I haven't been one of those in a while. So I'm planning on doing something I've never done before, so I'm not sure if we're going to be successful at it. Time will tell. 15 minutes from now. We're done with that. We're done with you. Okay. Let's do it. We have more people coming in. If they're coming in, just we can shut that. Okay, good. So how many of you here have never been here for a workshop? 1, 2, 3, 4. You haven't been here for a workshop. Very good. 5. Have you been here before? Any workshop? A couple times. Okay, so you have. Awesome. How many of you here have never seen me here for a workshop? It's your first time that you see me speaking. Yes. I'm scary.
Yes, yes he is. I'll vouch for that one.
Just say you're passionate.
Yes, that's the word. So I just want to share with you a little bit about quickly where I'm coming from, so you guys understand a little bit about. Well, I have many stories, but I'd like to just share this quick one tonight. That my background on where I'm coming from and what I have done and where I've been and why this thing is important to me is I grew up on a farm. All my family, they're all farmers. My cousins are farmers. My dad and his 2 brothers were farmers. Back in the days, they had like hundreds of acres of farmland, and everybody grew vegetables. Just pretty much all of them, from baby carrots to lettuce and all of that. And my father died in 1982. I was 8 years old, and there's 5 children at our house, so we're all little, all less than 13 years old, the entire 5 of us. My uncle also passed away at a young age. He was in his 40s. And then I have another uncle that passed away a little bit later. He had cancer. But all of those 3, my dad and his 2 brothers, they didn't have very good health, right? And all of 3 of my dad and his 2 brothers, they all had 3 kids, 3 boys each, and girls, couple girls each. And everybody worked on the farm. When my father passed away, I continued working on the farm for my cousins, but I had been going to the chiropractor from the time I was little. My mother was kind of progressive by nature, and we had been going to the chiropractor from the time I was a little boy. My sister had asthma, and as soon as she was born, she took my sister to the chiropractor 50 years ago, because my sister is 50 years, she's 50 years old. So if you can just think of that for a moment, 50 years ago, going to the chiropractor because you have asthma, that was kind of unheard of. Right, but my mom took my sisters, and then after that she took us, and everybody had been on their chiropractic care their entire life. And when I was done working on the farm as a young age, I worked on the farm pretty much until I was, I don't know, in my teenage years. I was in charge of growing the fastest vegetables on the planet, which I don't know if you know what that is, but those are radishes. Right, radishes takes only 45 days to grow. So on the farm, I was in charge of hundreds of acres, and my job, I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I would prepare the land to do the planting for those radishes, and then they would harvest them 45 days later, and then we would just rotate I would go from one piece to another piece to do that, right? And I did that for many years for my cousins. So anyway, so this is how this whole thing started, and then My chiropractor one day said to me, he's like, so what are you going to do for a living when you grow up? And I said, well, I don't really know. I'd like to be a teacher or maybe of, physical education or something like that. So I went to college. I went to McGill University in Montreal, and I studied what they would call here kinesiology. And I did that. And then after that, I got a nutrition degree. And then after that, I got a chiropractic degree. And then after that, I started a master's degree. And then my wife is like, okay, that's enough now. We need to go to work. And you're not going to finish this one. Let's go. And in 1996, we moved here in Lansing with my mother-in-law. And my mother-in-law was in practice in Okemos. She had an office there. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, they're both chiropractors. There's 28 chiropractors in the family. I just want to tell you this whole story because there's many parts to it, but so you can have the big vision of. So I worked with my mother-in-law for 6 months. She kicked us out of the office, and then I came and worked with my father-in-law, which this was his office right here, right now. He was here for 20 years, right? And then after 3 months, his wife kicked us out of the office. And the reason for all those being kicked out, I'm using this term kind of loosely, but what happened is we were really excited about what we were doing, and those guys, they were kind of on the tail end of their career. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, at some point in time, they had 4 practices, 4 offices, multiple doctors and everything. And so for my wife and I, Dr. Denise, she's also a chiropractor. So we were really excited about what we were doing, and those guys, it was kind of like we were taking up their space, right? So after 3 months here in this office, they just like give us the thing. And then we moved right between my mother-in-law and my father-in-law on the north side of the Michigan State campus, right next to the Big Apple Bagel. And then I was there for 9 years. After 2 years of being there, my father-in-law decided to retire, so I bought his office right here. So my wife moved here, and I had my office. She had her office. And then 2 years ago in 2014, my mother-in-law passed away, so we did a big circle around, and then we bought her office, and then my wife is over there, and then I'm here. When we first started here, when we merged the 2 offices in 2009, we were in this small place, well, it was 3,000 square foot, which is pretty big. And then I had tenants all over this office, but my vision was to have, to be able to serve the masses and to be able to go and work into those areas, which I'm going to explain to you right now, right, which I call the core 4, and how we can tap into this for, improving our health. So I used to have tenants, and then those tenants, I let them go as their lease were done, and then we started to just, open up the place and have more people and more doctors and more nutritionists and more massage therapists and more of just more of everything, right? So here I am today. So I have a real passion about health because for a lot of different reasons. I've seen people having their health being destroyed right in front of right in front of me at a young age, and that really just that's this little fire that is burning inside of me. And I like to, if you've never seen me, yes, I have this. I would say I have a big passion for what I do. Right? I believe in what I do because I live that every day, and I want to share a little bit of that. So there's one thing I've never done before, and I want to do with you guys because we don't have a big group. Even if it was a big group, I could probably do it. Hopefully it's going to work. I do have slides. I got many of them if you guys know me. I got many of them. I am prepared, but I would like to be not prepared. And what I would like to do is, you guys, when you heard the topic tonight, maybe you were thinking of something. Right? Maybe something that you wanted to learn, or maybe something that you would hope that I would be talking about. And what I would like to do is not to show you any of my slides and just answer your question. I guess we could use my slide to trigger some question. But the thing is, I really want to give you something that by the time you leave, you don't just get information. I would like to see transformation. And in order to see transformation is you need to just kind of engage into this process, right? The process is called health. I can talk about anything you want, right? But I really, really would like to answer your question as it relates to this or anything else. And if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to tell you I don't know. Okay? I can talk about a lot of stuff right off the cuff, but I would really give you something that you guys would like to leave with, something that you're like, hey, you know what? He did answer my question. And that gives me something to think about. So we're going to start with this young lady there. She's got like 100 questions right in her back pocket, so I could be here all night.
No, I only have one.
Oh, she only has one for now.
For now. Actually, you guys transformed me a year ago. I've been in the process, so I'm pretty good, but I'm coming because I know I'm going to learn more.
Yeah.
But my question is, it's still astonishing to me to realize that 50 years ago, your mom took your sister to the chiropractor. were Canadians that far advanced in chiropractic care than Americans? I don't know what the system was like.
You know, I'm not sure if I could answer that question. My chiropractor graduated, because he's still my chiropractor. When I go home, I was home 2 weeks ago, I got my adjustment, right? So he's still my chiropractor. He's been in practice for 50 years. So when I tell people my chiropractor, they're like, what do you mean by that? Yeah, my chiropractor. He graduated from Palmer in Davenport, Iowa, and this man has been taking care of our entire family all this time. But I'm not sure, I don't think Canadian are any more advanced than anybody else. I think my mom was kind of ahead of her, you know, by nature, she was into that.
Farming lifestyle, probably just opening your mind to more possibilities.
You know, more,
Narrow-minded urbanism.
I mean, everybody on the farm by nature, they were, I mean, back in those days, you know, I usually tell the story when my father was blind, or he was just about completely blind. My dad would wake me up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. The sun rises in Montreal at 4:45, right, in the middle of the summer, which is early compared to here, right? And he would wake me up, and once in a great while we would spray the crop. The majority of the time we would hire people out to pull the weeds, right? So by nature, people on the farm, they weren't big into taking drugs. People wouldn't go to the doctor. Matter of fact, my father was, and some of you heard that story, my dad was a diabetic, and my dad waited so long to go to the doctor because he didn't want to go to the doctor. People didn't go to the doctor then. He waited so long to go to the doctor and to manage his blood sugar that by the time he went, his pancreas was totally wasted. So then he was dependent on insulin, which he should not have been, you know, that should not have happened at the age of 22, right? He was not a real type 1 diabetic. My father was truly a type 2 when he started, and that was because of his lifestyle. It was not because it was a genetic problem. I'm not sure if that helps anybody, but let's move on. I don't think we're that progressive, but it depends where you're at, I would think. My mom, she's an all-star. She's still an all-star in my book. She's 68 years old, and she's amazing. Okay, let's have some questions. Yes, go ahead, Brittany.
I feel like this is like the whole point, but like, well, how can we not be tired of being sick and tired? What can we do?
What can we do?
Besides change nutrition, a little more specific than that.
So you want to be more specific?
Yeah.
So you learned one yesterday. So that's the first one. So if you were to say, Dr. Daigneault, I want you to just resume this by just a few things. So I like to talk about the core 4. I believe with all my heart that, you know, if you handle this in your life, that there's just nothing to stop you. The core 4 is number 1, is at the top of the list. You have function. And for most of you here, you know about function, and you know about the nervous system, and you know about what controls and regulates everything in your body. So when people say, hey, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, there's so many research today, hundreds of papers. You can go in the medical literature and just go in PubMed and just type in, you know, neuroimmunology. You're going to see thousands of hits. Most of them you won't be able to read them because they won't mean anything to you, right? But what that means is neuroimmunology is the nervous system controls your immune system. And this has been shown over and over and over again, thousands of times, right? And unfortunately, you know, you guys look at me, and many of you, you're like, oh, really? This is like news to me? You know, I didn't know that. People are out there, millions of them, and they're like, yeah, I'm sick all the time. You know, I don't know why. Well, have you ever had your nervous system checked? What's that? Who does that? Well, should I go see the neurologist? What is the neurologist going to do? That's not what his job is, right? The neurologist looks for a disease to give you drugs. Has nothing to do with improve how your nervous system function. But in the medical literature, and I can give you details as we go, is your nervous system controls all of the organ of your immune system. As a matter of fact, they know that, to be specific with you, right, there is a hormone in your body, it's called cortisol. And when people are stressed out and when people have a weak immune system, their cortisol is high. So what they do is they take strip, which you can't do that. Any of you could do that. You can take a strip and put it in your mouth, and you can check your level of cortisol. And when your level is high, that's bad news, right? That means that your immune system is going down. So what they've done in those researches specifically is they give chiropractic adjustment to people. They wait, right? They're like, okay, let's stick this little strip in your mouth. Let's find out your cortisol level. Then a person gets a chiropractic adjustment, and right after they do another cortisol level, and guess what they found? Every single time it's down. Do you understand? Right? Every single time. So how can you just ignore this and people are like, well, my back hurts. Who cares about your pain? Right? I understand maybe some of you here, you're like, oh, Dr. Junkie, my back hurts. You know, I've been hurting for many years. But really, who cares? You guys have no idea when you get a chiropractic adjustment above and beyond the darn pain, there's a lot of other things that happen and you have no clue. And it's all been researched and it's all in there. Right? So I think you should be aware of that. So I call that the core four. Number one is you got to function. If your body doesn't function 100%, you're in deep trouble. But then I go, then I use three words that many of you have heard before is how you eat, how you move, and how you think. But this all depends on how you're functioning first. So if a person is not putting real food in the body, can they function properly? If a person is sitting on the couch like this, can they function properly? If a person is thinking bad thoughts, right, and somebody's raining on their parade all day long, can they function properly? They can't. It doesn't matter who you are. And if you don't investigate those four areas in your life and to be able to work on those, right, when a person say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's like the person came in one time about 3 years ago, and I like to tell the story just to drive the point home. This lady is about 200 pounds overweight, and she comes in and she wants to have a pill for her knee that are hurting. Do you guys, all of you here, understand that the elephant in the room is, do you think this lady needs to have a pill for her knee or she needs to lose weight? What do you think? Right? It's like a person that their head, they come to my office, their head is like this, and they're like, hey, my neck hurts. Can you give me like, some kind of pills that's going to fix my neck pain? You got to get to the cause of the problem. Right? If you don't get to the cause, you're never going to get there. It's like me telling you I want to go to California, but I'm going to be driving east. You have the wrong map. You're not doing the right thing. You think you do because some of you really want to be in what you're into. Right? If you're into nutrition, you want to fix everything with nutrition. If you're into like reading good books that are positive for your brain, that's all you want to do and you think it's going to heal everything. And I say to you, Dr. Jean-Guy's in all of those things because I believe in all of them. I think they all have value for each and every one of you. And if you don't tap into all those things, you're just missing the boat for health. So when a person say, hey, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, what does that mean? Does it mean it's only one problem? It doesn't mean that. All of you here, when you leave tonight, I would like to be able to, for all of you, to be able to repeat forward and backward what I'm about to tell you. Soon, maybe one day, I'm going to have one of those. Right? So I like to give you, this is the example of the plant, the famous plant. There's a plant right here and the plant is dying. And then I say, well, we're going to do some research. This is what they do in medicine. We do research, right? We do double-blind control research studies. So then we say the plant, we're going to give the plant water for a month and then we're going to see what happens. So let's say that you have a double-blind control studies and you have a plant that you give water to and a plant that you don't give water to. And after a month, the plant that you give water to is not all better. In medicine, when we do research, we would conclude that water is not good for the plant. Now, does that make sense to any of you? Because the theory is like we're going to give water to the plant. If the plant is not better, that means the water is not good for the plant. In medicine, that's the research that we do. Now, all of you look at me, you're like, really? Would you agree that, in order for the plant to be healthy, it doesn't matter if the plant is all better after 1 month. Would you agree that the plant is required? It's like a requirement for health that it needs to have water. Regardless if the plant is still dying after a month. Yes? Okay, so now let's say that maybe the plant needs to have good soil. So let's say we put good soil to the plant and we give water to the plant. There's another plant we're just going to give water, and then the other plant we're not giving anything. It's placebo. Right? We're not giving anything to that. So we have like 3 different groups. And after a month, now we have water to this plant. We have water and good soil to this plant. And at the end, right, all those things, the plant that doesn't get any water is not getting any better. The plant that is getting water, just water, it's the same. It's not all better either. And then you have the plant that has water and good soil. And after another month, it's not all better. Would you conclude that, again, that the soil, good soil, is not a good thing for the plant? All of you here that are just into gardening, it's like a no-brainer. If you want to have good plants, right, you need to have good soil. Maybe the plant is missing some sunshine. So would that be possible that the plant needs to have sunshine, good soil, and then good water? Would that be possible? But in medicine, we don't do those things. This is not the kind of research we do. We would say, hey, Brittany, we're going to give you some synthetic vitamin A, which is crappy, by the way. We're going to dump that into your body, and we're going to find out if it's good for your heart. How can you make any conclusion? Right? The only thing we can conclude is synthetic vitamin A is not good because they do research like that on men, right? They look at men that have prostate problem. They give them synthetic vitamin A, and after 6 months, they've been killing so many men, they're like, whoops, maybe we should not do that. So then they conclude that vitamin A is not good for prostate cancer. Do you see how many things are wrong with that? And then they're very happy to blast that all over the paper and say, see, I told you, vitamin A is not good for people that have cancer. Matter of fact, vitamins are not good. And then all of you here, maybe not you here, but then people believe that. They're like, see, I told you, vitamins are not good, but my blood pressure drug is good, right? Because the doctor said. Look at my blood pressure. It's 120 over 80. You know, I mean, that's good. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's like you're dying softly and you just don't know. Right? So this plant analogy here, this is important to understand that. So now I want you to transport that to your body. And I could say to any one of you to say, hey, you know what? Do you think that your body needs to have good food? It's a no-brainer. Do you think that your body needs to function 100%? That's a no-brainer. Do you think your body is required, that genetically your body is required to move? This is not moving. Even the dog that is watching TV moving his eyes, it's not exercise. Do you guys understand that? Right? So people are like, well, Dr. Jean-Guy, you know, I mean, I move a lot, I walk all day. What does that mean? Right? There's many people that as much as they think they move, they still don't move enough. It's a genetic requirement. When you don't move, you can't be healthy. You can't. You have a deficiency in movement. When you have a deficiency in movement, you're never going to be able to be healthy. Because what do most people do today? They sit on their butt all day. Right? You're a student, you sit on your butt. You work all day, you sit on their butt. That's what people do. And this one here is a big one because, you know, some of you, it's your own family member. They just rain on your parade all day and you should get rid of them. Maybe not get rid of them, but you should just, like, you know, have some distance. Because ultimately, this is making you sick and people don't realize that. So you have to be thinking outside the box and looking in terms of, you know, health comes from where? When a person says, well, I'm tired of being sick or I'm tired of being tired, what does that mean? You know, is the cause of a person being tired, could that be just like one thing? No, it could be many things. You know, some people, they just don't sleep enough. Some of you here, you're just surrounded with electromagnetic forces and you just don't know. And you're like, well, what's that? What are you talking about? Yeah, because you sit in front of a computer and the computer is putting you asleep, or the electromagnetic forces is making you sick. You're like, what are you talking about? I don't have time to talk to you about it. I'm just going to say you just go look it up. Right? That's the reason why, you know, that I wear this in my neck and I have a bunch of stuff in the office everywhere in my house. This is for electromagnetic forces. There's some of you who sit in front of TV and you fall asleep. It's not even because you're tired. It's because the TV is making you fall asleep. The electromagnetic forces coming out of the TV is putting you asleep. And you don't know because you don't know what you don't know. Right? Matter of fact, my first girlfriend, I don't know how she found me, but she found me through my wife. She's sending her a Facebook. She wants to talk to me. And we're talking about 6th grade, a long time ago. Right? We should turn that off right now. Right? 6th grade. So she gets to the Facebook somehow, and my wife, she's like, here's a French message, you know. I mean, I don't know who that is, but, you know, maybe you should read it. So this girl there, she wants to talk to me. Like, sure. I mean, I haven't talked to her in 40 years. I mean, maybe you should call her. Well, not 40, but 30. So I called her up, and then she gives me this old big story for like an hour. She's like, did you know I have a son who's autistic? And my son, I just realized that I did research for 10 years, and those electromagnetic forces just drive my son crazy. Matter of fact, I've been sick for 10 years. And those smart meters, right, this is the worst thing that we have here in Quebec. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're surrounded by electromagnetic forces. Your phone is electromagnetic forces. Your iPad is electromagnetic forces. Your computer is electromagnetic forces. And when you have all those waves coming in at the same time, they use the term dirty electricity. And when you have that in your life, which all of you do, what it does is it just zaps all the energy out of you. But most people don't know that, right? They're like, what's that? It's no big deal. You know, everybody has it. You know, I mean, if it was bad for you, you know, I mean, they wouldn't let you have it. It's like telling me, you know, don't you worry, Dr. John, all the food we have, you know, the government approved it, so therefore, you know, it must be okay. Matter of fact, if you go in your iPhone right now, it tells you that they're not responsible if you have brain tumor. It tells you that. This is part of your iPhone when you start digging. I wouldn't be able to find it right now, but if I dig a little bit, I can't because I've done that before. Because they know that this guy at Harvard, after he published a book and he said, hey, you know what? Those phones, they were never designed to be like this here. They find that when phones are right here by your ears, they find that the likelihood of you having a brain tumor goes way high. When you have women that are wearing their phone right in their bra like this, that they can't see tumor that grows right here, right on top of their breasts. Right? So this is how good that is. So yesterday, Brittany's mom, she's like, yeah, just Brittany, she went to get water over there. You know, she doesn't want to, she wants to save the planet, right? And I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. This is Brittany, by the way. Right? She's like, she won't have like a bottle of water. Yeah, it's like, I mean, you guys understand about this thing now. They have this whole thing in the medical literature. I mean, it's not just, it's about saving the planet, but plastic kills you. They're called plasticizer. When they do studies, yes, Brittany?
So I found out yesterday that apparently cities are allowed to put fluoride in our water, which is bad.
Yes, that's
I
good.
found this out yesterday.
For the
So like the only way you can go around that is to go through like a water bottle, but like.
Which one is best, right?
Yeah.
If they eat plastic, if they have fluoride. I don't know. I mean, we can talk about that later.
Or to like not have that plastic bag, great.
Yeah, sure. Right? So they have this thing called plasticizer, and they use the term, it's called phthalate. In the medical literature, it's the big word that they use, phthalate. It's P-H-T-A-L-A-T-E, right? And when they do studies now, they do on hormone disruptor. And what they find is the distance between the anus and the testicle now of male is becoming closer and closer over the past decade. And the reason for that is because of plasticizer. So what we do is we make all of our little boys becoming girls. Because of the plastic. But again, people don't know that. When your body is loaded with plastic, what does that do to your thyroid gland? Yeah. Could that be a possibility? The person is tired because their thyroid gland is loaded with toxins? The answer is yes, absolutely. It happens all the time. Matter of fact, when we test people nutritionally, we test for that. Right? That people have crap into their thyroid. That's the reason why it's not working. They're tired all the time. I can talk about this topic about being tired all night, but I really don't want to do that. I would rather answer your question if you have it. Because I know you'll have some questions.
I have a second question.
You told me you only had one.
Oh, well, I didn't say I had 100.
Okay.
What is it, the smart meters? I saw on YouTube that they make shields for those now. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah.
To put on the outside, do they work?
Well, I would.
The outside of the smart meter, outdoors?
Yeah, the problem is, you know, it's better to pay extra to opt out of it. They can come in and they can take it out of your place. They're going to charge you an extra $10 a month for that.
What's a smart meter?
When you build a new home, instead of the guy coming in and reading the meter, they put a smart meter that they can send a signal to get, you know, it's like 30 electricity. Electromagnetic forces. And it translates into your entire home. Right? There's some people, they think they're crazy. They go to the doctor and they get psychotropic medication because they feel like, you know, the house is moving. Or they have this weird thing, just like they're on drugs. They're not on drugs, it's because of those electromagnetic forces. This might be like too much for you guys, but we're steering away from some of our basic topic. Go ahead.
Okay, when you're talking about the plastic and that it's turning boys into females.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, because it's.
Because plasticizer, what they do is it mimics estrogen on the cell receptors.
Oh.
And when your level of estrogen in your body goes up, then you become more like a girl than you are like a man because your testosterone goes down.
Okay.
Right? It messes up the hormonal system. It's the same thing. We can apply that with food. So when you have soy, when you do a lot of soy into your diet, soy is a phytoestrogen, right? Meaning that it's not good. None of you should have soy. That should be like not part of your diet. Soy is bad. Soy is a phytoestrogen, and it mimics estrogen on the cell receptors. So you should try to stay away from soy. Number two, bless you, right? There's also part of our pesticides and herbicides that they're spraying on our crops. They have estrogen derivative in it. So what that means is when you don't eat organic, or for the most part organic, the food that you're eating has estrogen in it. So it disturbs, right? Man thinks that they don't have any problem, it's only the women that have problems, but they have the same problems, right? And how do we know that? We know that because there's hundreds and thousands and millions of men that have erectile dysfunction. Then there's millions of men that starts growing breast tissue. There's millions of men that are having all of those issues that are hormone related because they become estrogen dominant. And when you become estrogen dominant, you have the same problem as what the women have, right? The women go through menopause, they can't sleep at night, they have vaginal dryness, they have libido issues, but this happens while they're cycling. Some of you are cycling and you have pain, you're bent over, you have PMS, you're like, yeah, my mom had that, I have that, it's genetic. It's bullshit, okay? It's not a genetic problem. It's what we're putting in our body that is a problem, and people don't know that. So when we're putting those foods, so my brother-in-law is a farmer in LaPorte, Indiana, which I love him, right? He grows wheat, corn, soy. This is what he grows on his farm. Does not use any GMO, right? But he was telling me last year or 2 years ago, he says, hey, Jean-Guy, you know what? I asked him one year, I said, when it gets really dry, you don't have anything to just bring water to your crop. What do? You just lose it or what? He's like, no, if I get into a pickle there, you know, in a time where it's really dry and I think I'm going to lose my crop, guess what I'm going to do? He takes high fructose corn syrup and he sprays all his crop. The reason why he does that is because the high fructose corn syrup is you have a little bit of water, a little bit of sugar, it's going to make you last longer, right? Just think about this. If you go to the hospital and they put an IV on you, what do they give you? They give you sugar, right? They give you a sugar solution. So they want to make you last. But the problem with high fructose corn syrup is, you know, it's not just high fructose corn syrup, corn that is bad for you, and the syrup that is sugar that is bad for you, but you also have mercury in high fructose corn syrup. Right? Hey, I'm not telling you this for you to be depressed by the time you leave. I would like to empower you for you to understand that you have to make better decisions. You have, you know, I mean, you have, you know, it's about information should lead to transformation by taking action. It's not just you sitting there and doing nothing about it, it's to do something. Right? To say, what's my next one step? I have many more slides, but I want to answer your questions. Go ahead. I'm ready. I can create some conversation because I have lots of stuff.
You fascinated me with the high fructose corn syrup. Why the mercury? What does that do?
Why do they do that?
Like, does the mercury bind it all together or something?
You know, I'm not sure the reason why it's in there, but I know that if you buy any kind of ketchup here in the United States, because all the ketchup in the United States, in Canada, somebody was talking about Canada, she's like, in Canada, we don't use high fructose corn syrup for, you know, for a sweetener. They just use, you know, regular sugar, right? In the United States, unless it's organic, everything has high fructose corn syrup. So you have like a population of people now, just like maybe you know, most of you have heavy metals in your body, which you probably don't know, and it causes problem. People don't know how and why, right? I mean, we start early on. Just think about this. You know, you tell me that this happens a lot in nature. We take those little babies that comes out of the womb, and by the time they're 15 years old, we're going to give them 60 shots. You tell me that this happens in nature, naturally. And those 60 shots, all of them have, right, peanut derivative in it, fetal aborted tissue in it, they have eggs derivative in it, they have aluminum in it, they have mercury in it, they have formaldehyde in it, right? You tell me that this is like, hey, you know, it's no big deal, you know, I mean, those guys, they tell us that they're doing this for us, you know, just to protect us. You try to convince me that this makes a lot of sense, even if you don't know anything about nothing. Right? Let's say that you don't know anything about nothing. You tell me that makes sense. But this is what they do to our kids. As soon as they're born, we're going to assume that the mother has gonorrhea, so we're going to be dropping some erythromycin into the baby's eyes, because we're making this assumption on every single baby in the United States of America. We're gonna put those antibiotics in their eyes. That's why when you see a little baby that was born in the hospital, their eyes are all red for many days. Why do you think that is? Because we assume that the mother has gonorrhea, so when the baby comes into this world, we just dump the erythromycin into their eyes. And then after that, we give them a shot of vitamin K, which is, if you believe in God and if you believe in the scripture, you read in scripture, why do you think that, how long do you think they would wait before they would do circumcision in the Old Testament?
8 days.
Yeah. Did you know that it takes 8 days for vitamin K to go up into the system naturally? Did you guys know that?
Wow.
Do you think God made a mistake? It takes exactly 8 days for vitamin K to go up into your body, for the clotting factor to just take place. But what we do here in this country, we're just assuming that, you know, God is stupid, so those little babies coming to this world, we need to give them a shot of vitamin K. And then we're giving them the hepatitis shot right out of the gate because we assume that the mother is going to be a round prostitute. That's the assumption, because that's the only way that you can get it. Hey, however you want to just think about it, I mean, it doesn't matter, you know. People are like, Dr. Daigneault, what should I do? I don't know. You can do whatever you want. I can tell you what I do, right? But I just want you to understand, this is like what I'm telling you right now. You can go look that up, right? This is not for me to just like, I don't want you to believe me. I just want you to go look it up, because that's your responsibility. Right? And in this office, my job is to disseminate the information, not to lie about it, right? I'm going to tell you the truth. You decide what you want to do with it. Because I think it's important. People should know. So here it says, are you violating some basic principle of health? Right? If a person is not healthy or they have problems, you need to ask the question, am I violating the core four? Right? The core four is you got to function. Everything comes back to function. If you don't, you know, if you're not functioning properly, can you assimilate the food you put in? No. If you don't function properly, can you move properly? No. If you don't function properly, can you think properly? No, you can't. You just can't. Right? I mean, you just can't. So it doesn't matter what you say to me. People are like, well, Dr. Daigneault, I don't believe in it. I'm like, I don't care. You don't have to believe in it. It's like me telling you, what do you think is going to happen if I just let go here of this little thing? What's going to happen? You can say, you know, I don't believe you that it's going to end up on the floor. I don't care. It's gravity. Right? Stick your finger in the plug right now and tell me you don't believe in electricity. Just see what happened. When life is not moving from the brain to the rest of the body, I mean, it's choking the life out of you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. That's the truth. Right? So when a person's with Dr. Daigneault, you know, my back doesn't hurt. I'm like, who cares? I'm not going to see the chiropractor, you know, because, you know, I think he's going to kill me. Oh, really? Right? I mean, in medicine, we kill 1 million people a year and that we think it's okay. There are 700,000 people dying from cancer every year and we think it's okay. There are 600,000 people dying from heart disease and we think it's okay. Right? We have no problem with that. Do you really think that Dr. Daigneault would have a license if I, like, in 16 years, if I would have killed one person, would you think I had a license? My license would have been taken away from me. In 16 years, right? I had a person one time about to adjust her. She's like, how many people did you kill doing this? I'm like, I don't know. You could be the first one. Right?
There's no answer to what you're doing.
So just think of that. Right? My neighbor, my old neighbor, was a heart surgeon. Right? I'm like, so tell me what your malpractice is. He's like, well, my malpractice is $88,000 a year. $88,000. 4 million, 3 million. So in the state of Michigan, any doctor, we have all the same malpractice. So guess what? Guess, you know, how much is Dr. Daigneault's malpractice is? 4 million, 3 million. Same thing as the medical doctor next door, my old guy. Give me some numbers. Don't wait too long. Just spit a number. How much you think that is?
0?
Come on now.
I don't know.
$1,800.
1,800 a year?
Yeah. 16 years in practice. It's never going to be higher than that, right? So do you think the insurance knows about the risk for something? Yeah, because they're the one who pay out. They have actuary that figure all this stuff out, right? So me, the chiropractor, they insured the same thing as this guy, $88,000, $1,800. So do you think it's dangerous?
They
Well,
don't.
look how many people die under medical care. Not yours. I
Well,
mean,
that's
the
okay.
medical doctor.
Yeah, well, that's no problem. You know, if you die under medical care, if you do the standard, meaning that if I do what I'm supposed to do, and we all do what we're supposed to do, and people die, it's not a problem. It's okay for them to die, right? It's all about if you follow what you're supposed to do.
You go to jail, but they get away with it.
That would be, you know, that would be okay. Okay, well, we don't want to talk about that. We want to know why you're tired. So this here is also another important, which all ties in really at the end of the day to the same thing. But if we talked about stress, we have a whole class just about that. Right? So when a person has stress, naturally stress, what it does is it decreases how your immune system functions. Right? So what's happening after that is when you have stress into your body of any kind, they can be mechanical stress, physiological stress, they can be emotional stress, it can be any kind of stress, doesn't matter what they come in. Some of those stress you don't even know you have them. So let's say you have parasites inside of you and you don't know you have them, that's a stress. And that by itself, what it does is it decreases how your immune system functions. Right? So there's stress that you don't even know you have. So it's not just what you think the stress is, because people will say, well, doctors are like, yeah, I don't have any stress. You know, I'm happy, I've got a good life, good kids, you know, everything is good. But there's stress that we don't know we have. So if you're allergic to dairy, but you drink milk every day, that's a stress. Right? So stress in your body decreases how the immune system functions, and then it will start driving, turning on your, what we call the sympathetic nervous system. And when your sympathetic nervous system is on, which is called your fight or flight, by the way, right? Every single time, it will inhibit how your immune system functions. Every time. Yes, please.
Isn't stress like the balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic?
The balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic is
I thought like, you know, it goes up and down, and needs to be balanced and...
yeah, so you have the yin and yang between those two systems. So stress is naturally, your body was designed to be able to handle stress. I like to give the example to everybody, which I hope that many of you have already learned it and you can teach all your friends about it, is my famous analogy that stress is like if a lion comes out of the cage and starts chasing you or chasing me, and the lion did not eat for 2 weeks, what do you think that the lion is trying to do? He's going to try to catch up to me and eat me. But because, you know what, I don't give up really easily, I'm going to run really fast. So would you say that would be a little bit stressful? So if I'm running for my life, what would happen to my blood pressure? Would that go up or down? What would happen to my sugar level in my bloodstream? Would that go up or down? If you want to run fast, you need to have your blood sugar is going to go up, right? Now, when you run for your life really, really fast, do you have time to poo or pee? No, right? If somebody scares you, you're going to crap your pants. But if you run for your life, this is going to shut down. Now, what do you think is going to happen to the level of cortisol in your body when you run really fast for your life? Cortisol is the hormone that handles stress. So if the lion is chasing you, the cortisol level is going to go up, right? It's natural. It's got to do that. What do you think is going to happen to the level of fat into your bloodstream? More specifically, cholesterol. What do you think is going to happen? Every single human being on this planet, when there's stress in their body, their cholesterol goes up. And the reason for that is because God has wired your body that when you're stressed out, it's like the lion is chasing you, and the body uses cholesterol for wound clotting. How smart is that? How smart is that? I mean, like, take this to the bank right now. Your body uses cholesterol for wound clotting. So when a person is running for their life, if somebody bites you, your body's going to use cholesterol to just for wound clotting, for the body to heal. Pretty smart, isn't it? Now I'm going to ask you another question. You guys ready? When a person is running for their life, right, do you think that the body has to worry about having the immune system functioning 100%? What do you think? You think the body is worried about that?
No.
So what happened is there's a gene that's going to be down-regulated into your liver when you run for your life, when you're stressed out, that's going to inhibit, that's going to suppress how the immune system functions. How about that? The body's going to do that naturally because the body is like, hey, you know what? I don't care about the immune system right now. It's not important. The lion is chasing me. I mean, the lion's going to eat me. And then watch this. Even better. You guys ready? Your body naturally, right, will also going to down-regulate the gene, the receptors. On every cell receptors in your body, there's 100 trillion cells, which is not many, right? 100 trillion cells. There's a receptors on the cell that's going to be down-regulated for the insulin to come in and to hook to that receptors. Do you know what that means? You want to know what that means? What that translates into? The body naturally is going to stop absorbing sugar into the cells to keep it in the bloodstream so you can run faster. How smart is that? The body does that naturally. So what happened is for all of you here, now you go to your real doctor and then you show up. And then you're like, hey doctor, my blood pressure is up. No problem, we got a drug for that. My sugar is up. That's no problem. It's called diabetes. We got a drug for that. But my cholesterol is up too. Well, that's no problem. We got a pill for that. Well, you know what? My gastrointestinal tract doesn't work. I have acid reflux. That's no problem. We got a pill for that. Right? I'm fat. That's okay. We got a pill for that too. It's called gastric bypass. So then you walk out of there. You got your slew of drugs. Right? And then you start thinking, you're like, my body must be stupid. Right? I have high cholesterol, high sugar, high blood pressure, everything is high, my gut doesn't work properly. I'm just falling apart because my body's stupid. But yet, every single thing that your body just did was totally natural, was totally just completely normal, complete normal physiology. This lady's a nurse. She might not remember, but she can go to her book, she can tell us. It's right there. Right? So people think they're like, well, I'm sick. You're not sick. Your body is just adapting to the crappy environment that you're putting your body through. Right? So when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, that means that you're just like, hey, there's things that you haven't addressed. And your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing every single time, every time, all the time, all day long. I'll tell you right now, you should be totally in love with your body. Because your body's putting up with you first, right? With all the stuff that you've done to your body. So the body, Brittany is like, hey, is the body designed to handle stress? The answer is yes, but the body was never designed to handle stress 22 hours a day. So what happened is you go through a normal phase, the lion chases you, and then you kill the lion, and then there's no more stress because we're done. But if the lion chases you 22 hours a day, then this is not normal. So then your body goes through different phases, right? So you have this phase where you have like the initial phase, which is normal, and then you have the sustained phase, and then after that you have the exhaustion phase, which is this Rassel-Daigneault, a fellow Canadian that just figured all this stuff down, right? And he's like, hey, this is what happened physiologically. So you can look today in the medical literature, and you can just take every single pathology that people have, doesn't matter what they are, right? The bodies just adapt. People don't have disease, doesn't matter who you are here in this room. People don't have disease. People just adapt to the crappy environment they put their body through. How can your head be like this and not having arthritis in your joints? How can that happen? For sure you're going to have arthritis. Doesn't matter who you are. You can say to me, well, Dr. Jean, I don't believe in arthritis, but you will have arthritis. The body's going to adapt. When there's abnormal pressure on the joints, your body lays down calcium. Why do you think the body does that? The body's trying to adapt to the abnormal pressure, so it lays down calcium. If your carotid arteries would be clogged up, what would happen to your blood pressure? It'd go up every time, right? Then you go to the doctor, and then, of course, the doctor is the all-knowing, right? I mean, there's like the doctor, and then there's God, not the other way around. So the doctor must know, you got blood pressure, we have this pill for you, right? It's no problem. We can fix that. Next year, you come back for your wellness talk, and then, you check all your wellness. You see the nurse, you see the PA, you see the doctor. They're like, you know what? You're healthy as you can be. All your numbers look good, so therefore, we declare you what? Yeah, you're healthy. You're doing good. I feel like crap, but I'm healthy, right? So next week, I will be at Mount Hope Church. I'll be speaking about this for an hour and a half. You guys don't have questions? I mean, I really have to go through those slides.
Oh, Mount Hope Church next week?
Gilead Center. I'm running out of time. I want to tell you about the cells. How many cells there is in the body?
100 trillion.
100 trillion cells in the body. Brittany was listening yesterday, right? 100 trillion cells in the body. All those cells are all made from fat. The cell membrane is made out of fat. right? So this is really important. I want to teach you this little concept. There's 100 trillion cells in your body. They're all made up of fat. So do you think fat is important? Absolutely, right? So part of those fat are cholesterol is a fat that makes up the cell membrane. Naturally, that's the way God has intended it, right? I just want to share that with you. So then you have bad fat. So when you read studies, which it's better for you not to read studies, but don't watch TV either, right? Because when they report studies, they just lie to you, right? So when they do studies in the past, any studies that you read about fat that says that fat is bad, is they never made the difference between saturated fatty acid and trans fat. The trans fats are the one that makes every cells of your body more stiff. When the cells become stiff, then nothing is happening inside the cells. And when nothing is happening inside the cells, this is when you're dying. Because your cells will become more like a raisin, right? When the cells become like a raisin, it shrivels, right? It becomes real dry, and there's no fluid inside the cell, so nothing is happening. So when our people here, they do Nutrimos, which is our weight loss that people do here next door, right? Which is like absolutely miraculous. When people do that, they lose, 20, 40 pounds in 40 days, sometimes 50 pounds, 60 pounds. We do this thing called the body composition analysis. And what we look for is we look for how much water there is inside the cells. And if you're a female, your water inside your cells should be between 50 and 60%. If you're a male, you should be between 55 and 65%. And when your cells are full of water, then your metabolic age goes way down. That means that you're getting older, right? But you're really, on the inside, becoming younger. So when a person jumps on this scale and we do this body composition analysis, a person can be 50 years old, but their metabolic age is 92. It's because the computer doesn't pick any more than 90 years old or 92 years old. That's all it can pick up. Some people, they're already 150 years old on the inside. They're so bad, right? Because when the inside of the cells dries out, you're doomed, You're on your way. You're in bad shape. So those fat there makes the cell membrane more stiff. We're trying to stay away from this. This is really bad, right? If you read anything that has a label on it, this should not be in it. By the way, I won't say anymore a whole lot about the other fat. I'm making an assumption that you know them, even if you don't, but it's going to be for another night. I want to tell you that in the United States of America, right, because we can buy people, they have a law now that says that you can put 0 trans fat on the box. And if there's less than 500 milligrams of trans fatty acid in a product, you can still put 0 trans fat on the box and it's okay. So you go home, and because you're a consumer and they think that you're silly, which basically that if you buy the thing, right, you're just proving them right. You're proving them that you don't know anything, that you're just a sucker. Right? Anything that says natural or purify means absolutely nothing. They just use that because it's marketing. So you just go home and you're consuming trans fatty acid. You don't even know about it. And then you're killing yourself and it's okay. Right? So then you have fats. The good fats is the way they come in nature is saturated, monounsaturated. They're all good and they're all necessary. Right? Your body needs to have all of those. Those are different kinds of saturated and polyunsaturated. Within the polyunsaturated fat, you have this thing called omega-6 fat. Those are the fat that causes, when you have too much in your body, it causes inflammation. Inflammation leads to the body to break down, the immune system to break down, and causes the body to just fall apart. Yes, Brittany?
So omega-6 is bad?
I didn't say that,
Oh,
right? What I said is the omega-6 and the omega-3 in your body, they should be balanced. The ratio of the two should be 1 to 1. If you have 3 to 1, it's acceptable. If you have more than that, it's a bad news. So things like, go ahead.
It's interesting because I know that one of my doctors has put me on some omega thing. Is it like, I don't understand, like that's probably, they don't even know if it's balancing or not. And I don't like doctors very well. Probably not even actually thinking about what they're doing. So like,
So when they're giving you
is
omega-3,
there a way to know if you're like balanced omegas?
yeah, there is. You can do a blood test. You can do a test. It's a pinprick test. I have them in my office. If you want, they're $75. You put that on a piece of paper. On 3 different samples. You send them in. They're going to give you all the fats in your body. And they're going to give you the balance between the omega-6 and the omega-3. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Right? So corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower, peanut, soil. Those are all types of omega-6, right? Omega-6 fatty acid. Later on, you're gonna see peanut oil in some of my other stuff. People in the past are like, doesn't mean that, you know, I use peanut oil. I'm not telling you not to use it. What I say is this is considered an omega-6 fatty acid, right? So the omega-3 fatty acid, those are the ones that are anti-inflammatory in the body. Anytime that there's inflammation, inflammation leads to destruction. So when a person is tired of being sick and tired, everything that has to do with the immune system and energy in the body has to do with the balance between omega-3 and omega-6 in your body. There's omega-3 fatty acid that are plant-derived, like flaxseed, hemp, and walnut. Those are called alpha-linolenic acid. If there's any vegetarian here in the room, I don't want to be rude, but I'm just saying to you that there's some vegetarian out there that they don't want to take fish oil, they just want to take plant-based omega-3. And I feel sorry for you because you're still deficient in real fish oil, in omega-3, which is EPA and DHA. When a person is, is a vegetarian, we know that the majority of those people, they're going to die early, right? Because there's very few vegetarians on this planet that are truly healthy because they don't know how to eat. And I don't want to just be mean to anybody, I'm just telling you that's the truth. Most of the people that are vegetarian, they should not be vegetarian, and they don't know enough about nutrition to be a vegetarian. Besides the point, in the medical literature, when you take a whole bunch of this here, either in oil form or in seed form, this here technically should be able to turn down and to produce more of this here. It's called DHA. What they have proven is when you take 10 grams a day, which is a lot, 10,000 milligrams a day of this, there's less than 10% that will convert to this, which is very little, right? So when they test people with that, they find that, hey, you know what, it's worthless. And then you have this other omega-3, it's called EPA and DHA. If you want to decrease inflammation in your body, those are the guy where the money is at. So when people are taking fish oil, you're looking for the amount of EPA and DHA into your body. That's what you're looking for. Usually the ratio of EPA to DHA should be 2 to 1, right? It's not set in stone. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's not totally 2 to 1. When I test people, when I check them on a nutrition program, it's different, right? Because I know exactly what their body calls for. But as a rule of thumb, if you're taking it for inflammation in your body, the EPA should be 2 to 1 versus the DHA. If you're being nutritionally tested, don't worry about it. Whatever you test for, that's what your body's going to ask for. But in the medical literature, when they test people that have inflammation, especially if you have chronic pain, right? So especially if you have chronic pain. So at the University of Pittsburgh, this guy, this doctor, whatever his name, he took care of, I think his name was Moron. I don't know if that's Moron. It starts with an M. He's a smart dude. So he takes care of people that have chronic pain, and he says, hey, you know what, you guys here, you all come to me, and there's a few of you that needs to have surgery, so you go have surgery. And you guys here that were taking over-the-counter stuff, for your pain, you don't really need surgery. You go home and you continue taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. But I want you to start taking fish oil for the next 3 months, which is 90 days. And what they found is that after 90 days, all of those dudes in this group right here that were taking, pain pills for their back pain, 85% of them, they just got off of their non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and they were taking fish oil at the same time, so they just continued to take fish oil because they didn't have pain anymore. So 85% of them, they all got off their drugs. So what does that tell you? So fish oil is a natural anti-inflammatory, the right fish oil. In this studies, those people were taking anywhere between 5 to 10,000 milligrams a day. Okay, they weren't taking like this one pill from Walmart that you just want to puke over that fish oil. Okay, that's not what they were taking. Just so you know. Go ahead.
What do you think about fish oil versus cod liver oil?
Cod liver oil is fish oil, but the amount of fish oil in cod liver oil is much less. But in cod liver oil, there's vitamin A and vitamin D. There's 10 times more vitamin A than D when it's in natural occurring form. So when you're taking a true cod liver oil, just like the grandparents would just shove that in the kid's mouth, right? They would give them some cod liver oil that has 10 times more vitamin A than vitamin D, which is good for the immune system, and they usually would give them that during the winter. So cod liver oil has fish oil in it, which is the EPA and DHA. There's some in it, right? But not a whole lot compared to just, fish oil. I'm totally for cod liver oil. I test people with cod liver oil all the time. I'm cool with that, right? So we're good with that, but the problem is there's many companies now. What they do is they're tapping into this thing about manipulating all this stuff to try to make it look good based on what the research tells them, and they change the composition of stuff. So there's a company called Carlson, which is popular. People go to the store and they buy Carlson cod liver oil all the time. And now you have Carlson cod liver oil high D, Carlson cod liver oil high fish oil, Carlson cod liver oil high whatever. What they do is they take the cod liver oil, they separate the oil, they separate the D, they separate the vitamin A, and then they reintroduce them together with synthetic vitamin D and synthetic vitamin A. Right? So when I call them up and I'm like, hey, why don't you tell me about this fish oil and this cod liver oil? She's like, well, just wait a minute, I'm going to look at my book. I'm like, well, can I get this book? She's like, oh, no, you can't get the book. Right?
Wow.
So people don't know that. Companies change over time and people don't know better. They just keep buying what they were buying and because they just don't know better. I just want you to know that natural occurring in nature, 10 times more vitamin A than D. That's the way it comes in. So the ratio omega-6 to 3, the ideal is 1 to 1, acceptable 4 to 1. The most American is 25 to 1, so that's why people are inflamed and dying, and they're sick and tired. And then here you have the schizophrenic, which is people that have psychological issues. When they test them, they have 50 to 1 up to 75 to 1. They do psychological profile in people that have depression. They start giving them fish oil, and they see their psychological profile changing just within 4 to 6 weeks, just by giving them fish oil. When they do a PET scan on people that are taking fish oil, it takes about 1 month, 30 days for the essential fatty acid to saturate into a person's brain, right? It takes 1 month to do that when you do a high dose. So it's not going to happen overnight, right? So when a person comes in from the purpose of a chiropractic purpose, and people have, anybody in our chiropractic practice, if they don't do any nutrition, there's 2 things you should do, okay? So let's say that you don't want to have anything to do with nutrition or you're not quite there yet. There's 2 things everybody on this planet they should do. People should do fish oil every single day. They should take vitamin D every day. It doesn't matter who you are, okay? No question asked. If you don't want to do anything else, that's fine. Just don't. Just don't. Just drink your Coke and take your fish oil and take vitamin D, okay? I mean, those are 2 things you should do. So that would be like basic stuff, okay? It's basic stuff. I'm going to make this a little bit harder for you and interesting, just for me, because that turns me on. So just, you know, I got to get enjoyment out of this tonight, not just you guys. So omega-6 fatty acid, I give you some example of what they are. This will be driven down, the chemistry will drive this down with this enzyme called delta-5 desaturase, and it will be activated with insulin. Okay, so what activates things with insulin is what? When does insulin goes up into your body? Who can tell me? When you eat what? Yeah, when you eat cake, cookies, candies, ice cream, bread, rice, and pasta. Yes? So when you eat cake, cookies, candies, you know, and all this stuff, your insulin goes up into your body, so it will drive the system down. So from omega-6, then you produce more arachidonic acid. From arachidonic acid, then you produce more prostaglandin E2. This is a hormone, right? And then here you have the COX-1, COX-2, and COX-3. So if you're into drugs, right, you're like, well, Dr. Jean-Guy, it's no problem. I'm going to go take my drugs. So in medicine, over the counter, the pharmacy next door, right? I mean, if you want to have a quick way to just take care of your pain, you know, go for it. Go next door, you know, I mean, it's going to be cheap. You're going to take those things called COX inhibitors. Because the big pharma, they just know that this is what kills people. So temporarily, we're going to kill you softly. So the house is on fire. There's an alarm system in the house, and you run in the house, and you take the batteries out of the fire alarm. And you're like, you know what, I'm doing good. There's no more noise. But the house is burning, right? It's like going across the street and get some anti-inflammatory. You're like, yeah, but it's hurting. My knee is hurting. So I'm going to take a leave and ibuprofen and Motrin and aspirin. You're killing yourself softly. If that's what you want to do, that's okay. Right? I'm not into that. I'm in health. So here, prostaglandin E2 is a hormone. This is a bad guy. It's like putting gas in the fire. Okay, so we'll move on here. So the omega-6 fatty acid, this guy right here, right? You have the series 1, which is the good hormones. It's not the prostaglandin E2, it's prostaglandin, so it tells you what it does. And here it says, I want to get to this here. So prostaglandin E2, right, it promotes inflammation in the body. So this is really what turns me on when I start to learn about this, because in the medical literature, there's hundreds of papers about this that proves that. So when a person is high in prostaglandin E2, which is a hormone, right, when you have a lot of omega-6 fatty acid in your diet, in the stuff that you eat, and you're inflamed, right, which lots of people are, then you start having vascular disease, meaning that your chances of having a stroke heart disease, heart attack, heart problem, you know, just name it, it's right here. When you have a lot of this, it drives the system to produce vascular disease. This is not cholesterol that causes heart disease, folks. Right? Cholesterol is just there to protect you. And then it also produces more fibrosis, meaning you have more scar tissue. Right? So if you have more scar tissue, then you're going to have, ultimately, you'll have more pain. Then you also will turn on your sympathetic nervous system. When your sympathetic nervous system gets turned on, it's going to lead to this thing called, it says, control every single organ in the body. Controls what? Every single organ in your body. And then it says it will suppress your immune system. So then what happens is your immune system is in charge of fighting infection. So if you're inflamed, you can't fight infection. If you're inflamed, you're going to have allergies. If you're inflamed, you're going to have asthma. If you're inflamed, you're going to die early. Every single time. Right? Did you know that every single chiropractic adjustment for the rest of your life turns this off? It turns it off. It's been proven. It turns it off. It turns this off. Whether you have pain or not. Isn't it like great? It turns it off. And then here it says vasoconstriction. So what happens if your arteries are this big? What it will do is when your sympathetic nervous system fires up, it will do this to the arteries. How's that feel? I'm going to go and I'm going to grab your leg right now and squeeze it really hard. How's that going to feel? So here it says it will decrease the oxygen, decrease the ATP production, which is the energy. I'm tired of being sick and tired. And then it will impair your genetic expression and healing, so your body doesn't heal. How's that sound? Right? You're like, sign me up for that. And here you're going to have this degenerative disease, right? Which some of you here, the doctor said, well, that's normal. You're getting old. You know, everybody in your family have that. You have arthritis. Everybody's going to have arthritis. And then you're going to have more free radicals. That means that you're going to look old and you're going to feel old much faster. So anybody wants to sign up for the program? This is the program. This is what we do today. That's what people sign up for. From the time they're born, you know, they live their life with their family and people don't know better and they just go on. They eat at McDonald's every day and they're like, it's no big deal. Right? So here it says what else causes inflammation? Then the food that we eat, the environmental allergies, you know, the stuff that they spray. I had two families this year. They come in with their kids and their kids are bleeding out of their feet. Right? 2 families. And they're 2 families. They're just great people. They homeschool their kids, right? They're like, you know, I don't know what's going on. Matter of fact, the mother is crying. She's like, you know what? I try to do everything for my kids. You know, I mean, I just don't understand why this is happening. And come to find out, when I test this little girl, you know, she was like, her bladder reflex was weak, and she was testing for pesticides into her bladder. So many times feet problem, it's like, you know, your bladder is bleeding into your feet. That's what it means. So this little girl, I give her some homeopathic stuff for, you know, the chemicals in the bladder and all that, and within a short period of time it was gone, right? The bleeding out of her feet was gone. But then mom started crying. She's like, you know, I mean, how can this be? You know, my kids are homeschooled. They've never had drugs. We don't give them vaccine. We don't give them this or that. I'm like, yeah, but your kids, you know, they just run outside barefoot, don't they? She's like, yeah, but we don't spray our lawn. I'm like, yeah, but the neighbor does. You think that your kids are just like stay on, you know, on your lawn? Plus, when it rains, guess where they go? The pesticides go from there to here. Some of you here, you're like, oh, I'm covered. You know, I don't do any of that, Dr. Junkie. I'm on board with you. I get adjusted. I exercise. I eat well. I'm never going to have a problem ever in my life. It doesn't mean that, right? I mean, that's a good start. But do you guys understand that all those people out there that are taking drugs, every single antibiotic that they take, that means that every single bug in this country, they're becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And that means when those bugs go after you, and all of you, right, you better be ready. Because even if you don't take drugs and you don't get shots and you don't do any of that and you do all the right thing and you do everything Dr. Junkie tells you to do, right, it is still possible that they're coming after you and you better be ready. And don't think that you're going to be immune to all of that, because you won't. And you need to understand why. So this mom there, after I explained that to her, she's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, when it rains, it comes over to your house. And in immune burden, we talk about parasites. I was supposed to answer your question, not to go to my slides. Those omega-3 fatty acid, what they do is there's an enzyme that drives the system down to produce 2 things here. It's called EP and DHA. This is what builds your brain. And it increases the production of serotonin and dopamine. So how many people you know today that they're depressed? or they think they are, right? They are, because what happened is when the omega-3 fatty acid is not balanced with the omega-6 fatty acid, you'll be the brain. You'll be depressed. You guys with me on that? Right? So this part here is really important. Those EPA and DHA, those are your fish oil, and that's why everybody should be taking them. So your fish oil increase the flexibility of cell membrane, allowing better communication between the cells. It increased the ability to regulate physiology affecting receptors environment. And then decrease inflammation, increase signaling power for the immune system. And ultimately, this is what it's all about for everyone in here, right? You want the immune system to function better, because ultimately this is what protects us. We got to be ready, right? If you're tired of being sick and tired, you need to get your immune system to function better. There's many strategies for that, right? You got to be thinking in terms of how you eat, how you move, how you think. You got to be thinking about electromagnetic forces, dirty electricity. You got to protect yourself from that, and you got to get on your journey and just get at it. You got to start somewhere. I don't know what that somewhere is for you, but I'm telling you, you got to start somewhere. Wherever you're at, there's another step. You're just going to find out what the other step is. And it will also alter gene expression and build brain synapses. So you got to have the proper ratio when you take those supplements. If you don't get tested, if you get tested, don't worry about it. You got to make sure there's no contaminant in those fish oil. If you get it at Walmart, GNC, you know, the vitamin shop, this is crap. And then it says, you know, there's different types of, you know, some company, they use dark capsules, or, you know, capsules that are not dark. You know, at the end of the day, it's how it's being processed. When you chew in those fish oil, you know, fish oil is not fishy, just so you know. If you think fish oil is fishy, then you're just taking crappy oil. Fish oil is not fishy. You should be biting on fish oil, and it's just not a big deal. When it's rancid, which many of the companies, they already have them rancid, when you chew on it, it's just like you just want to puke, is because it's already rancid. When it's rancid, that means it's been exposed to oxygen, and then it turns bad. When you have rancidity into the oil, it turns into this thing called lipid peroxidation. Lipid peroxidation is a known carcinogen, meaning that it's just going to give you cancer. Okay? So if you have it liquid, you should probably keep it in the fridge. And then you have flaxseed oil, which is an omega-3, but it comes from plant. Here they talk about trans fat, and I kept this one. I don't want to read the whole thing, but this is a research. In the title, it says trans fatty acid, the effect on systemic inflammation. So when you have trans fat into your diet, you eat at McDonald's and you go to those places where they have fried food, what it does is it's like putting gas in the fire. If you put gas in the fire gets bigger and bigger. And I just want to see here it says endothelial function. When you have systemic inflammation causing endothelial function, is what happens is the inside of your cells of your circulation, right, within the wall of the circulation. I mean, this kills me, but I'm going to tell you, right, this is too interesting. When people have a stroke, or when people have a heart attack, right, and those doctors, they want to put you on blood thinner, and they want to give you cholesterol drugs, and they want to give you blood pressure drugs, and they want to give you beta blockers, and they want to give you all those drugs, because they're like, hey, you know what? We don't know why you had a heart attack. We don't know why you had a stroke in many cases. But, you know, the American Heart Association says that, you know, your cholesterol should be 100. It's okay if your plumbing doesn't work anymore, if you can't have sex with your better half, you know, I mean, we don't care about that. You know, we just want your cholesterol to be 100. You guys understand why I say this? You guys understand that if your cholesterol is not high enough, you can't make testosterone. You can't make estrogen, you can't make progesterone, you can't make any of your hormones that will make your plumbing work. I don't know what that sounds to you, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you, it doesn't sound good to me, right? So they want to have your cholesterol, now it's less than 200. If they see it at 100, they're really happy. They're thrilled, right? And then they're like, do you see here within your arteries, there's some cholesterol plaquing? We really don't like that. That's why we wanted your cholesterol to be really low. Do you guys understand that when there's inflammation in the body, just watch how your body's so smart, right? Do you know what your body does? 75% of your cholesterol is produced by your own liver. When you have inflammation, your body uses the LDL, which is a low-density lipoprotein, which is the bad cholesterol. You think God would have made something bad? Just, come on, right? So your body uses the LDL, which is the low-density lipoprotein. As a taxi cab, it takes it out of your liver, brings it in the area where there's inflammation, and then it patches up the inflammation. Nice! And then the HDL, which they really want to see like really high because they think it's the high cholesterol. This is like the good one, right? This is like the taxi cab that brings cholesterol back into the liver. So they're like, hey, if your HDL are really high, that's really good. But if your cholesterol is high and your LDL is high, we really don't like that, so we want to bring this down. So we're going to give you all the drugs in the world that we have in our pocket to bring it down. Do you guys understand why the body does that? The body does that to try to save itself. It's going to patch up the inflammation because when you eat cake, cookies, candies, ice cream, bread, rice, and pasta, and you have inflammation in your body, and you have immune burden, and you have parasites, and you have yeast, and you have bacteria, and you have viruses, the inflammation has to go up. The body has to protect itself. This is how it responds. So the answer is not like your body has a lack of cholesterol-reducing medication. That's not the answer. It's like me telling you every time there's a car accident on Michigan Avenue, the cops are always there, so therefore it must be the cops' fault. What would you say? Dr. Daigneault, you're stupid. But that's what they made you guys believe. Right? The last study, that was the first heart study that was ever done. It's called the Framingham Heart Study. It was done 35 years ago. And what they found is when people have heart disease, their cholesterol is high. So therefore, cholesterol must be the bad guy. So ever since all those scientists, they all jump into this bandwagon. They're like, hey, cholesterol is bad. And then the big pharma, they're like, ooh, we're going to be making a lot of money with this one. And now the big deal now is they want to take all of our children in this country because, of course, they're all fat because they eat cake, cookies, candies, and ice cream, and because they sit on the couch all day and they don't move. So they're all going to be fat. Their cholesterol is all going to be high because they're all inflamed. And then we're going to give them all cholesterol-reducing drugs. Genius! Right? Genius! And then we're making billions of dollars. Doesn't matter how many we kill. It's not a big deal. Right? Just think of that.
You're gonna kill me!
Just making sure your stress response is working. Every single chiropractic adjustment will inhibit your sympathetic nervous system, meaning it turns it off. When it turns that off, it's upregulating how your immune system functions every single time. Doesn't matter who you are. Now, can you just get chiropractic adjustment like every day, all day, but eat cake, cookies, candies, and ice cream? No, you can't. I was about to scream, but I won't do it. No, you can't. Right? That's why Dr. Daigneault is not just about one thing, because I know they're all important. Right? And I want to teach this to people, and I want you to take action when you leave to say, okay, maybe some of you are getting adjusted. You're like, okay, what's the next thing I can do? Right? What's your next one step? And you need to line them up to just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. You know, I'm getting this one thing at a time, you know. With information leads to transformation. What's the next action step? What's the next one thing you're going to do? That's what I want you to do. There is a bottom line. It's my last slide. Maybe not, but. Right, you want to decrease this here, you want to increase this, you want to eat real food, you want to take real food supplements, eat fruits and vegetables, you want to avoid trans fatty acid, don't take drugs, you can, but you're going to die faster, right? You want to maintain your nervous system, get your chiropractic adjustment, doesn't matter if you hurt or you don't hurt, doesn't make any difference, right? Make sure that you just go back to the core four and say, hey, what do I need to do? Which things that I'm not doing? And how do I need to get on board with that? Because this is important. We have to be congruent, right? You want to get your health back. There's one thing probably that if you don't have your health or you're not where you need to be at or you're not where you would like to be at, that there's things that you're not doing, right? And some of you, you're like, well, this it's hard. You know, nobody said it was easy. What I say to every one of you here tonight, no exception, right? If you think it's hard or the area you think it's hard, you need to have a support group, a support system. You need to have people that support you. That's why I do this every month. That's why Elena is here every month. That's why we do it at both offices. Right? How can a person is an alcoholic and he's going to go through the 12-step program and he's going to stop drinking? What are the chances that if he doesn't go to his meeting, right, on a regular basis, that he's not going to drink again? What are the chances? So if you're at home with a spouse or somebody that doesn't support you, what are the chances that you're not going to eat the ice cream at 9 o'clock at night? If somebody just keep raining on your parade every day, you're going to this quack chiropractors again. You know, those guys who just want to take all your money, they just want to take everything. And then you look at this person who's saying this, and this person is taking 5 drugs, they're dying, they've had 2 back surgery, right? Those are usually the people saying things like that. I'll tell you right now that any money you invest into your health, you're going to get it, like you're going to multiply the fold at the end. And if you're not sure about that, just go spend one day at Bircham Hills and just look at those people in the wheelchair that are drooling all over themselves. That for the remaining of their life, 20 years or so, they're just going to be doing that. And they don't know who's in front of them. Who would like to sign up for that? I don't. I don't care how much money I'm gonna invest in my health, because I'm gonna invest all of it if I need to. Whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it. Because that's the right thing to do. I don't know how many years God has for you here, but I just know that while you're here, you wanna be the best that you can be, so you can be working on His behalf. Whatever you're called to be, whatever you're meant to be. That's my point of view. Right? You make the choice. Any questions before we're done? Boy, I did good. I give this church talk last Saturday. I was supposed to do 20 minutes. The lady that invited me, she said, I never thought you could do that in 20 minutes. I had to rehearse in the shower everywhere for a long time. Make sure I could get this done in 20 minutes. Okay, any questions before we're done? Seriously. No question? Really?
Yeah, Joe was interested in the talk you're having at Mount Hope Church. He can sign up for it up front.
Doesn't need to sign up. You can just show up to the Gilead Center. It's going to be next Tuesday. The next two Tuesday, actually, I think it's around 6 or 6:30.
Is that a particular building or something?
The Gilead Center, there's only one building. So when you move in, from what I can remember, it's on the left. And there's a big sign there. It says Gilead Center. It's a healing center.
Mhm.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
You'll see it and go past the
Yeah.
church.
I can tell you here the time. They just give me the time right here. It's at 6:30. Starts at 6:30.
6:30. Probably not.
Okay, any other questions?
6:30, what day?
It's next Tuesday, the 25th of October. And then if they're happy, if I give them enough, they're gonna re-invite me for the next Tuesday.
It's the same thing you did tonight?
No.
Oh, it's different, it's longer, more in depth?
No, hopefully it's not longer.
Oh.
They only give me 60 minutes. I need to rehearse.
So what is it on?
It's only gonna be on stress.
Oh, stress, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Any questions? Did you guys learn anything?
Yes.
Sure.
You guys learn anything? You guys know what your next step is before you walk out the door?
Yes.
When you walk out of this door, right? If you don't wanna disappoint me, don't hurt my feelings, even though my wife says I don't have any. Right? When you walk out this door, if you don't want me to be disappointed, is this. That's what I'm asking you, right? Some of you heard this before. When you walk out this door, don't walk out before you make a commitment to take one action. What's the one thing that you're gonna do for your health? One thing. Wherever you're at, doesn't matter where you're at. Right? What's the one thing that you're gonna do? It doesn't have to be big, it's just gotta be one thing. And just do it. Just like the Nike commercial, just do it. Because you're already gonna be ahead of where you were at before you came in. I tell people I'm gonna be really disappointed if you walk out of here and say, Dr. Jean-Guy, you presented some very good information today. Right? If you wanna piss me off, just say something like that. Just go on social media and say, yeah, Dr. Jean-Guy presented good information. Good information does not lead to taking action. Don't do it for me because it doesn't matter, right? I'm here for you. And I want, I'd like to have 100 people here. You need to tell other people they need to be here. They need to take this one more step. It breaks my heart when people are just taking countless of drugs, they're killing themselves and they don't know. Right? And people don't know what they don't know. So, thank you for being here.
Thank you.